During the winter, for many of us, boating season's over, but that doesn't mean a select few of us won't find some way to go out there, get that boat, put it to good use, and have some fun, just like some of the things we'll witness in this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week.
An actual disaster, man.
Now, others of us will leave our boat in the water over the winter and decide we're going to go ahead and keep boating throughout that season, but sometimes that will wind up turning into regret. Just like some of the things we've seen from Quentin Morgan over the last couple weeks, as he's highlighted the heavy snowfall that has happened in Alaska and some of the devastation that's come along with that. Several of the videos I've seen of some of the devastation up there have showed things such as this, of highlighted vessels that have sunk due to the extreme weight of snow and ice that formed on the vessels during the storms. But these videos show some of the complications that come along with that, with trying to get these vessels back out of these situations, as the cold weather has caused some of the water to freeze right around them, thus making the actual process of getting these vessels raised pretty difficult. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would these guys leave the boat in the water? Well, the reality is, places like Alaska, many of these people actually wind up living on these vessels. So even during the winter, this is their home, and that's why the boats wind up staying in the water. Now, I know most of the rest of us decide, you know what, winter's coming, we're gonna go ahead and put that vessel inside or store it up for the season.
No way! No!
Now, when you're storing the boat for the season, sometimes something will sound like a good idea. That doesn't always mean it is. Now, Mother Nature can be pretty brutal during the winter, especially in many coastal areas. Now, I know you think snow, cold, but even in warmer climate areas, typically we see some of our worst coastal weather during this season, making boating pretty rough. You can go from what we just saw a few moments ago to this in just a matter of minutes as winter storms come rolling through. They usually bring higher winds and, of course, more difficult situations, which means as you're docking or doing other things or even just trying to traverse on a boat, you're going to find it's a little more difficult. Now, of course, Mother Nature causing issues in boating isn't always weather-based. I mean, many times some of our boating situations will just be affected by Mother Nature as a whole, where our water is that we choose to boat or the type of conditions we choose to boat in. Now, sometimes the weather, of course, will have its part, like when you're out there enjoying a day of boating and the next thing you know, the weather knocks you overboard and you forgot to go ahead and wear that safety kill switch lanyard.
Yeah. It's done. Wow.
Or there are those times when you got out there, decide you were going to anchor for the night, not really paying attention to what the wind was going to do, only to wake up in the morning to find that where you chose to anchor wasn't the right spot. Now, you gotta let me know in the comments what you think you would do in this situation. To me, it looks like you wind up pulling forward a little bit and hopefully somebody grabs that anchor off the line, cuts it a little slack. Speaking of cutting a little slack, sometimes Mother Nature will just encroach based on where you were boating. Kind of like right here, where our guy decided he was gonna go ahead and drive the boat into Mother Nature.
What's that?
Now, of course, most of us are stuck boating with Mother Nature, and when I say that, that doesn't necessarily mean weather again. Based on the conditions that we live in and the locations that we live in, if we enjoy boating, we're kind of stuck with what we got. So, for example, if you live in rough terrain, you may be boating in rough terrain, kind of like this crew. Now, I won't lie, as a coastal boater who lives near the coast, I do enjoy the coastal boating, but something about stuff like this just looks like an absolute blast, but it also looks super expensive. The boat itself doesn't look expensive, but I got a feeling I'd be going through a lot of props and a lot of motors every single year. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean in coastal boating you can't go through a lot of props and a lot of engines every single year as well if you don't pay attention. Now, of course, coastal boating does come with its own unique set of challenges from Mother Nature. You never know what she's going to throw at you. Kind of like this crew here, who just had a tsunami thrown at them.
Look at the pontoons and the jetties and the boats
Based on the story they were telling, the entire docking system at this marina has been displaced by this tsunami. It's not even in the same location anymore. The tsunami literally picked the docks up, broke them all free, and then slammed them into the wall, leaving devastation like we see here to their boat.
Look at this, how crazy is that? Well, our boat is still tied to the jetty, yeah. So it had broken off from the original site and then drifted and pulled the boat along with all the concrete and ended up here. This was our original jetty. See how our boat is still tied to the pontoon here? And the whole thing just drifted from the other end.
Now, other times when you'll have to deal with Mother Nature, it'll be animals, like when beavers decide to go ahead and build a dam in your river. And then, of course, you've got to deal with Mother Nature's obstacles in other ways sometimes, like when you live in the Hawaiian Islands and you need to get a trailer from one island to another, so you wind up doing it like this with just a couple 55-gallon barrels. And then, of course, when you live in Mother Nature's remote locations, you might have to use the boat in some awkward situations to get some supplies and equipment to different places that you need. Now, of course, when you're dealing with Mother Nature, you're always going to work with what she gives you, which means sometimes it can lead to some interesting situations when it comes to launching and pulling vessels. I always find it amazing to watch how different places wind up having to do it based on the location they're at. Now, some of the most amazing nature boat launches we wind up seeing are those ones where there is no boat launch, where there is no marina, yet somebody finds a way to go ahead and get it done. We see these beach launches all the time, I feel like, in South America, places like Australia and New Zealand as well, and they are always incredible to watch. I mean, who came up with this idea to try and get these things going? But really, it's always just an amazing sight to see how they wind up getting it done, even with limited infrastructure and limited resources to get it done, yet somehow they find a way to get 7 tractors down there, go ahead and run them through the salt water, and somehow there's not a lick of rust on any of those tractors, and everything looks good as they wind up getting it done. Always an incredible scene. And it's not always about finding unique locations or unique ways to launch and retrieve your boat. Sometimes you gotta find unique spots to store it. I mean, sometimes they won't let you store it at the house if you've got an HOA, and sometimes you gotta defy them, just like this guy. Thanks for watching, crew. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening out on your waterways, be sure to hit us up over on Facebook or Instagram at Broncos Guru and let us know, just like JL Sweet 43, Quentin Morgan, and Adam Coolidge did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here. If not, we're coming to steal your drain plug.